Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up, my G.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. Welcome once again. You are in with the sickness, as they would say, and you're in with the madness. That is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, recording live from the Asian Sensation Studios in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I am your host with the most, the Asian Sensation himself, Mr. Kim Hoang. And, I'm here, man. We're in the booth. I got my mic fired up and I'm ready to go. And it's just a good feeling. It's a great day. At least for the most part. I woke up and I felt pretty good. Did a light cardio workout where I was walking all around in the metropolitan Washington, D.C. area, specifically for those that are familiar with the area, in Silver Spring, around Four Corners, Montgomery Blair High School, and around back over to my neighborhood. So that was about a good 2.5 mile walk. So it wasn't bad. I was walking on my own leisure. I wasn't doing it for timing, I have to beat it in an hour. I was just restfully walking, enjoying myself, exercising at my own leisure, and it was great. With me today, I'm very happy and proud to announce that I have my good friend, my good buddy, fellow actor and martial artist, my brother from another mother, Mr. Zach Knox, who is here as always. Zach, it is good to see you, my dude.
Oh, man, my brother, I appreciate you having me on again, man. Again. And I know we're going to have another good one, man.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I
Like I told you, man, anytime that you want to do it, you're more than welcome to. I mean, I gave you a skeleton key. All you have to do is just go to the back door, open it up, tap me on the shoulder and be like, we got an episode to record. And I'll be like, okay, I'm down. I'm always down.
My man. Well, I definitely appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Real quick, I do want to say this real quick. Zach and I will be working on another movie together. Our good friend, Mr. Adam Vaughn, is going to be shooting a short of his own version of the classic video game Fatal Fury. We're really proud to be a part of that cast as actors and also stuntmen. So we're really looking forward to it. When it will come out, we don't know. But just know that we are working really hard to make this happen. And when we do start the actual filming process, it'll happen. And I'm pretty sure that people will know somehow, if not by me or any other of the castmates, then probably by Adam or anybody in that, production team. We got a great lineup of people. Obviously, as you know, Zach is going to be involved in it. Our good friend Cameron Whittington is going to be the star of it. And we're really excited for him because it's going to be his big break as a lead. So I'm really happy and proud for him. We have Zach Malikoff, who's going to be in there. The awesome martial arts married couple of Shanita and Trey Parker. They're going to be in there. A few other castmates that, too much to name, but they're known well in the local acting industry. Much love and respect to Adam for having us to be a part of your production of this great movie short that will be happening. And we can't wait. We can't wait to actually do our stuff and show you, the audience, what, the good Lord blessed us with, the ability to act, the ability to do fight scenes, to convey our martial arts experience and our fight choreography experience in such of a way that people can appreciate when they see it on the screen. So looking forward to that. Normally when I do these podcasts, it's usually in a very good jovial mood. I have a fun time. I bring guests along. I bring special guest hosts along, and we just laugh and have a ball. we laugh and have a ball and we have a great time without question, because that's the nature of this podcast in general, as well as in life. We love to have fun, we love to smile, we love to laugh and talk about good times, and that's what life is all about. But on the other side of the coin, sometimes for every good there is an unfortunate, and this subject is very unfortunate. Something that just recently happened this week, like literally, like I would say like a day or two ago. But for those that have not heard, or were not aware, or unfortunately, I hate to say the term, you were living under a rock. Legendary film actor Carl Weathers, a man that is known by many famous roles. You might have known him as Apollo Creed in the famous Rocky movies, Chub Peterson in the comic movie, Happy Gilmore with Adam Sandler. That was a real good one. Colonel Dillon from Predator, the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sergeant Jericho Jackson of Action Jackson. Yes.
Yes,
You can't be a kid from the 80s if you don't know Action Jackson.
Jericho Jackson.
and for those that are of the nerd syndrome that are with today, you might have seen him recently in Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. And which when I saw that, I was like, what? No way. Because I never would have thought that he would have done that. And again, that was just something that I was really shocked about. And I know that we'll probably talk about it in a little bit, but yes, he was in, I believe, 3 seasons of The Mandalorian as Grief Karga. But we got to talk about this, man, because Zach, you're not far from my generation.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up watching Carl Weathers, and for him to recently pass away, at least in my opinion, at the young age of 76, in his sleep, no less.
Yeah.
There is no words, man, like other than complete shock.
Yeah, man. I thought Carl was going to live forever, man, because, that dude, like, he aged really, really well. Like, 76 years old, he looked like, he was in his 60s, but he didn't look 76.
Right.
And he had such a commanding presence on the screen, and he had such an intensity to him. Even when he was in the Star Wars films, he was doing his own action scenes. And I was like, man, this dude, he looks great, looks in fantastic shape, still doing this thing. So that's why this whole, him passing away in his sleep, it's still shocking. I'm still trying to process through everything, man.
For those, no, I agree. For those that might not have known, here's a true fact that for those that might not have known, before Carl went into acting in the 70s, he was an athlete. He actually played college football. It's for San Diego State University. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I think that he was in track and field, I believe.
I think it was. Yeah.
And after graduating from San Diego State University with a degree in theater, so that does explain a lot. Played 1 year in the NFL for the Oakland Raiders as a defensive lineman.
Yep.
And then after that 1 season, I believe he went to the Canadian Football League and played for the BC Lions, for British Columbia Lions, for another 2 years. And then after that second season, it was pretty much a wrap. When he was in the NFL, he played 8 games. When he played for the Canadian Football League, he played a total of 13 games and did 1 fumble recovery. So he was not bad for a defensive lineman. He did what he had to do, but his true calling, I guess, later in life was acting. And next thing you know, he was on it. He made the plunge and he said, I'm going to do it. And he is one of those rare people you have people that are former athletes and so forth, and they try to transition into the world of acting. There's a lot of them. There's been a lot. Matter of fact, Terry Bradshaw, the Pittsburgh Steelers, he did that.
Yep.
Howie Long, he did that. Former football great Jim Brown.
And he was huge in the 70s.
Yeah, and a little bit of the 90s and so forth.
Yeah, 70s, 80s, and even the 60s. He was in the Dirty Dozen with Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson. So I think that was I might have been his Hollywood debut. I don't know if he was still playing for the Browns at the time or not, but I know he was making that transition into movies around that time.
I remember Jim Brown from being in such films as I'm Going to Get You, Sucker. He was in that. Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks. And in the 70s, he was it Black Gun?
That's
Black
right.
Guns. Slaughter was another big one.
Right.
Oh, the one he did with Fred Williamson and Jim Kelly, Three the Hard Way.
That
right.
That
was another classic. Yeah. So he was in a lot, and then he did the Original Gangsters. That was they were trying to revamp the old school stars of the blaxploitation era. I think it was 96. So it's called Original Gangsters. It had in it. Yeah, you had I think Fred Williamson, Pam Grier, Jim Brown was in there. Yeah, Ron O'Neal, Superfly was in there.
Right.
And there's so many of them that were in there. I can't even remember all of them. But yeah, I remember Jim.
Yeah. And now we we go into Carl Weathers, who jumped into the acting scene back in '73. He's done a lot of major motion picture films. He actually was also a TV star as well, doing a lot of TV work and so forth. So I mean, when you see it, it's just like, oh my gosh, the one thing I will say, and I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this week. Somebody told me that Carl Weathers was basically like the original Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, where he was just in a bunch of movies, and I just debated that's fair to say because both of them were in professional sports. You have Carl Weathers playing professional football. You have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, professional wrestler. But I think what's the difference is that, when it came to Carl Weathers, he graduated with the degree in theater. So obviously, his acting chops and ability and his versatility is a lot stronger than Dwayne Johnson's, because Dwayne Johnson, it just seems like he's very monotone.
Yeah. And another fun fact about Carl, I'm not sure if a lot of people know it. This dude was actually an accomplished singer. He had, I want to say, from what I found in my searches, by accident, I stumbled across him. He had 2 singles. I think they were both in the late 70s or early 80s. I remember one was a slow jam, and it was actually done by another artist named Howard Huntsberry. He was the guy who sang Higher and Higher in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that song was called You Ought to Be With Me. I heard that it's a slow jam. So if you get a chance to look it up, it's called You Ought to Be With Me. And I was shocked as hell. I'm like, damn, this is Carl Weathers singing, because it was great. Then he had one that had kind of like a funky, 1970s groove to it. And I think it was called That's Love Calling. And I was like, okay, I like this. So it had more of a fast pace. And I was like, let me find out Carl Weathers can sing too. This man's a football player. He's an actor and he's a singer. He's like jack of all trades. The dude was talented. There's no doubt.
I also have to give it to him. He was one of those rare, let's just put this, sports personalities turned actor that when you saw him, he was in tremendous shape. Like, the man had quite the physique.
Dude, like his physique, man, when I was a kid, it's a true story. He was my hero when I was a kid. I remember first seeing him as Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
Back in Rocky.
Yeah.
And he was bigger than Stallone. Like, he was chiseled, he was just lean, and he was cut. I said, man, And then I see him in Predator. I said, and that was when Arnold was on the scene. Arnold and Stallone were kind of competing for top action star in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I'm like, nah, man, I want to look like Carl when I grow up. I was a kid in the 80s. I said, nah, man, I want to look like lean and chiseled and big. I want to look like Carl.
Yeah,
so when they remember in Rocky 3 when they were doing the sprints on the beach, they were training on the beach.
That's right. Yeah,
I was like that 8 or 10-year-old kid, man. That's how I'm gonna do that. That's how I'm gonna get that Carl Weathers build. I'm doing full on sprints on the beach, knee joints hurting at 10. I said, no, man, I don't know about all this, but
right.
So, yeah,
I just remember him in Predator, where like it was like Carl Weathers and and Arnold Schwarzenegger dapped each other and they greeted each other, and you see like both of their arms and their muscles were like popped, like the veins are popping out. Straight and they were trying to like arm wrestle each other, and then like Arnold was like, you're pushing too many pencils, huh? I was like, oh my gosh.
So make it easy on yourself, Dutch. Come on. Okay, Dutch, you won. You got me, buddy. Yeah, man.
Oh
yeah,
my
man, that famous handshake.
Dude, like that's when you knew, like, like Carl really had a physique that you had to really respect. And
absolutely.
And I think like he, over the years, I thought it was maintained well enough. You know what I mean? Because obviously when you get older, obviously you're going to lose a lot of that chiselness, and that's normal. But, for him to be as old as he was and looking the way he was, he still he looked really good. Like he didn't look bad at all.
Yeah. When he was in I want to say in like the late 80s, when he was doing like the Action Jackson and Predator stuff, he was like, he was pushing 40. He was probably either in his early 40s at the youngest, late 30s. Because he definitely wasn't in his 20s or early 30s when he was looking that ripped. So so he definitely either he had some good genetics or he had a good diet plan or he just had his workout program or something, man. Because man, he was on it. He did a movie I remember seeing. It was like 1992. It was one of those like straight to video B-rated action films. I think it was called Hurricane Smith. I don't know if you ever saw that. You might be.
I remember Hurricane
Smith. Yeah. It was like I think his sister got kidnapped or killed or something. I don't remember, but he had to go. He was from Texas and he had to go over to Australia, and he's in there. He still had that ripped physique, and he was probably our age, if not a little older. So, man.
I do remember. I don't know if you remember this. But I believe in the 90s, and this was like, the days of WCW Nitro, Monday Night Nitro. There was a movie that went directly to TNT where he starred with Hulk Hogan called Assault on Devil's Island.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. Wow.
And you remember when karate legend Billy Blanks was in that?
Billy Blanks was in there.
Billy Blanks was in that, and the guy who played Kano in Mortal Kombat, the first movie,
Trevor Goddard or something. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Wow, I forgot all about that one. Yeah.
Carl, I was like, all right, even at that age, I'm like, all right, you're still
jacked, man.
You're still jacked, man. Like I don't know what fancy vitamins you were taking, but let me be a part of that that exercising program. Please. Tell me the secret.
Yeah, man. I think like the thing with Carl like is, and I think people they probably always knew this, but like, Stallone admitted this, Schwarzenegger admitted this. They said, look, Predator would not have been the same if we didn't have Carl. Rocky would not have been as successful as it was if we didn't have Carl as Apollo Creed.
Right.
So he played such a huge part in both of those franchises. And, when he did Action Jackson, people could say it's cheesy. I love that movie. Jericho Jackson. I loved it, man. But I think even though it wasn't well received, man, that film alone proved that he could be a leading man, that he could hold his own as a leading guy, in Hollywood. And he easily could have been like one of the top action heroes of the 80s. I'm sure I had my speculation as to why he didn't get the push, But at the same time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he, it's just like he still didn't get it. So I feel like he just what would have happened? Like if he had gotten more lead roles, what could he become?
Right.
So I don't know, man. But I mean, yeah, we lost a real one, man. That was I'm still trying to process everything.
Yeah, because when you hear something about something like actor Carl Weathers from such hit movies as Rocky and all this, passed away in his sleep at age 76, you raise a lot of questions, because you're thinking to yourself, okay, there was no real public documentation that he had some kind of health issues or anything like that, because he looked like he was in good shape, unless there was something that we didn't know, he had a heart condition or something like that. And that's just my speculation. Maybe he had some kind of unknown heart condition that I guess something happened and then it just kind of took over.
That could have been. And another thing is, a lot of those guys back then, they pushed their bodies to unbelievable limits. Like I know there was a story about Stallone when he was filming, what was it, Rocky IV, when he had that fight with Drago. He told Lundgren, and it's a true story. He said, dude, I want this to look like a real fight. I want you to hit me for real. Hit me. He said Lundgren hit him so hard in his chest that they had to rush him to the ER because his heart or something like that started becoming really, really inflamed or swollen or something like that, that it could have led to a cardiac arrest. And then when Stallone was filming The Expendables, he broke part of his neck in that fight scene he had with Stone Cold.
Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's right.
Yeah. So it's the amount of physical stress that those guys would put on their bodies, 80s, 90s action stars, and if they're taking any type of pain meds, you and I are wrestling fans, and a lot of the guys that we followed, they've gone downhill as a result of becoming addicted to pain pills,
Right. All the steroids and PEDs and all that stuff, with PEDs, performing enhancing drugs,
Yeah. A lot of, but the thing with Carl was, it was he never really looked like he was on the roids or the gas. He looked he didn't look, because you can tell. I mean, if you watch enough bodybuilding, or you watch enough, you can kind of tell the guys who are on it and the guys who aren't. And Carl never struck me as a dude who was on that stuff. He just had really, really good genetics and just a hell of a physique, man. So it's just, yeah.
Do you remember the first time that you discovered, Carl Weathers, and you're like, wow, that's a real badass actor right there. That dude's legit.
Predator.
Really?
Predator. Yeah.
That was the movie that did it for you?
I was the one that did it for me, because I remember the scene where Bill Duke, long, tall Sally, she's built for speed. And you remember when he saw the Predator and he went running off into the woods. He went after the Predator.
Yep.
And Carl Weathers said, "Nah, man, I'm going with him. I screwed this up. I'm going with him."
Right.
And he just said, and he died. He said, "Nah, man, I lost my arm." And remember, he had his arm hacked off by the Predator.
Yep.
And he's still looking around. He said, "All right, I'm gonna fight with one arm." And it didn't work out for him. But the dude, I said, man, this because that's the first time in a movie I ever saw anybody go out like a G. Most of the times you see guys that get killed, they just die. But he went out to some degree fighting. He said, "Damn, I lost my arm," and he's here trying to shoot the Predator. And but yeah, I remember seeing Predator, and where I respect where you saw his athletic side was Apollo. What it was, he was training, because if I remember correctly, he had literally zero boxing experience when he went in for the first Rocky film. Stallone said, "Hey, you ever boxed before?" He said, "Hell yeah, I've boxed before." Lying his ass off. But the physique he had, you wouldn't be able to tell because of the way he moved. Right. He was so damn smooth in the ring. And he based Apollo off of what was it, Ali?
Ali, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, just
Well,
a
I mean,
very
at that time, in movie making, like in the 70s and 80s,
Mhm.
you just had to look the part. Whether if you actually could play the part
Yeah.
was a different story. But if you actually looked like, you were this chiseled boxer and you looked like you could do something, then they could have worked with you. You know what I mean? Because, as you know,
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone didn't have any, experience
Right.
in boxing. I
Right.
mean, he couldn't tell you the difference between a straight jab versus
Mhm.
like a cross. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now, it's a different tune.
It's a different tune now. I was talking to a buddy of mine about this like years ago. I remember he and I were working out in the gym and
Mm,
we came across the topic of the difference between the action stars of the 80s, like the 80s action stars, the Dolph Lundgrens, the Stallone, Weathers, all those lean guys, like the chiseled guys. Back then, like when they went to get Arnold as Conan, they went and got a big dude. They didn't, and this is no knock to the newer guys, they didn't go out there and get some pretty boy actor, put some fake blood under his nose, get him to lift weights for about 3 months and call him an action star. No, they went out there, and if they needed a big dude, they got a big dude.
right.
No,
Right.
and Carl definitely fit that image. But the thing with Carl was not only was he had that look to him, he could act. And like I said earlier, he brought that level of intensity to the characters he portrayed.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think what did it for me, honestly, and I'll go the stereotypical route, was the
Mhm.
Rocky movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
To see,
absolutely.
because that was such an iconic character of him to play a boxer and to see
Mhm.
him, show not only his physical, skill and ability, but his versatility as an actor, going all these different acting routes
Mhm.
within this character. And yeah, when I saw that, I was just like, man, this is incredible. This is awesome. Kind of felt bad they did him dirty though in Rocky 4, where they
Yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah. I
you're
was gonna say, yeah. No, go
going
ahead, go ahead.
going against a roided up Russian machine.
Yeah, that was in the 80s when they had the scandal, the steroid scandal of the Russian athletes taking steroids.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
capital. But the thing, well, see, that I was just going to talk about Rocky 4 because, and I know I'm not the only one. You're not. There's a ton of us who, we're athletes. When we were younger, we were competitors. And I think Apollo in that movie, he knew that he wasn't in his prime. He was long past his prime. He
right.
just didn't want to admit it. And there's a lot of us as athletes and competitors who still want to get back into the ring, the basketball court, the gridiron, whatever sport it is you do. It's like, no, I got this. I got this. I can do this. Unfortunately, in his case, it was, fuck around and find out. And, he died. But the thing about it's like I remember the message he said, no, this isn't just like a light switch that you can just turn off. We're wired different. We're warriors. We're competitors. And
Yeah,
as a martial artist, I understand that and I respect that because it's not something that you can just turn off, but you kind of have to know your limitations. What
yeah,
it is you do. And I think by like Apollo dying, yeah, it's a movie and everything like that. But you kind of look at things like, all right, well, so if I get back in this ring, could I like wind up like that? Not necessarily dead, but can I really get, jacked up? So
right, right. I
what
think
is
I think we've actually talked a little bit about this, not so much directly, but I
sure.
remember the last time that we were actually together, we were actually all, rehearsing
Mm-hmm.
for Fatal Fury.
Oh
And
yeah.
we talked about this many a times, man. You're just
Mm-hmm.
like, man,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
you get to that certain point, I leave all the acrobatics and the flipping to the young generation.
Yeah.
Y'all young cats can go ahead and do it because you
Yeah.
have that good young number in front of your age.
You got
For us old timers, that are in our 40s and like in VH1,
yep.
we'll do something, but don't ask us to do a lot.
Don't ask me to do no more flips. I had my days in the sun of doing my back flips, my flying tornado kicks, 540s, all that stuff. I'm still, hey, I'm still in great shape, but my body just doesn't recover like it used to. And it's one of those things where you just kind of, it's hard to accept, and that's the thing with Apollo. I remember he said, Rocky tried to tell him, say, look, man, we young, we can't do that no more. Apollo, this ain't us no more.
Right. Yeah.
And he said, no, he said, we got to accept it. We got to change it. We're like regular people. And he said, I don't want to change. I like who I am.
That's right.
And,
yeah.
and like when you hear that discussion that those two had before, Rocky reluctantly agreed to be in Apollo's corner, as somebody like what we were just talking about, knowing when you have to kind of scale it back as an athlete so you avoid getting injured. It's like, yeah, you gotta know where to draw the line in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
You do. So, yeah.
What would bother me the most is
Mm-hmm.
that, let's say, for example, let's say for the sake of saying it, like if they ever had another season of The Mandalorian
Mm-hmm.
and they would have, Grief Karga come back, it would bother me if somebody else took the over the role of that. You know what I mean? Because that was Carl Weathers.
That was
like,
his role. Yeah.
you like example, there can never be another person that would portray the role of Apollo Creed. You just can't do that.
Right.
Let alone the fact that you're even going to try to make a remake of that movie. I think that there's to me, that's a moral wrong. And if you try to do that, I feel like that's kind of an insult to the memory of Carl Weathers. Another example, in the Fast and the Furious series, you can't replace the character of Brian because that was Paul Walker's role, and God rest his soul, because that's another person that unfortunately has left us in this world. But you just can't give that role to somebody else to take over. It's just to me, that's criminal, and that's a no-no. And I hope that with these iconic roles that, let's say, specifically Carl Weathers had portrayed, whether if it's, Grief Karga, or if it's Apollo Creed, or or Chubbs Peterson or something like that. I don't want nobody to take over that spot.
Right. Well, that's because when you think of Apollo Creed, I mean, even if you got somebody, even if let's say they redid Rocky like 10, 20 years from now, and they got somebody else to play Rocky Balboa or Apollo Creed, I guarantee you it would not be as well received, because sometimes as an actor, you just crush a role so hard that it's almost impossible to replace you. Look at who's the guy who passed away a few years? Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther. They said, excuse me, Marvel said, yeah, we're not recasting because we just feel we would do a disservice to the memory of Chadwick Boseman. So, they just did the Wakanda Forever without him. I don't know if you saw the movie, but they did a really, really good job. I thought, at least with the way they handled his death in there.
Mm-hmm.
And being a Star Wars fan myself, I like the Grief Karga character. Now, I did not get a chance to finish all of season 3 of Mandalorian. I don't think the character died, but I'm sure, because I think he was didn't he become did you watch it? Did you watch season 3?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Didn't he become magistrate or something like that of a town or a high rank?
I believe so, if memory serves me right.
Okay. So I think when you're in a character like that, because I know that Mandalorian season 4, I think they're going to make it into a movie. I think so. I don't know. I mean, it'd be tricky. I think because you could probably write the character out so long as you keep Mando out of that system or wherever it is he's supposed to be going.
Right.
Now, if you want to honor the memory of it, you could mention the character by name, but to my knowledge, Grief Karga was such a well-received character. I think he started out as kind of was it a bounty hunter guild leader or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I remember that. Yeah. And then I remember him having a couple action scenes in season 1, season 2. He had his fight scenes. And so, yeah,
I really messed up because at one point, I think it was either last year or the year before. Like, how like they have like those like, events like Awesome Cons and stuff like that.
Yeah. He was at one of them, wasn't
He
he?
was at one of them.
He
And
was,
I had a chance, and I was like, man, like, I was like, I didn't have the money for it. I couldn't afford it. And I felt like,
He was at one
I
of
felt like, maybe he might do it again sometime. So I might catch him next year. That was my thing. And man, I just, I'm kicking myself right now thinking about, dude, I could have met the man. I could have shook his hand. I could have, I could have let him know, like, how much of a great acting influence he was, and how, I really appreciated the acting contributions that he made in film. You know what I mean? Because,
Yeah.
He was well respected. And when he passed away, a lot of people on social media really, reached out and left good comments about him and shared pictures.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I haven't heard anybody have anything mean at all. Nobody had a negative thing to say about Carl.
No, not at all.
I know that from what I understand, he and Lundgren didn't get along well together when they were filming Rocky IV. But I mean, that's water under the bridge. I mean, if you've seen the couple of the clips, they kind of played around redoing their old what is it, a press conference thing. When they were on stage, they were playing around, having a good time. I will say this though, the one thing that kind of disappointed me a little bit, and I'll be honest, was when Stallone was putting together his Expendables cast when he did 1, 2, 3, and 4. I was thinking, why didn't Carl get like a cameo or a part in there? Like they could. I was kind of bummed out about that, because I'm like, look, don't forget about Carl. This dude played a part in 80s action films too, because you were getting Chuck Norris. You were getting, I don't think they got Steven Seagal. I know they got Van Damme to play a villain. I think it was in the second one. And you got Mel Gibson and all these. And I'm like, come on, where's Carl?
Yeah, you got Wesley Snipes.
And with Snipes, yeah. So I would have thought that, because from the Apollo character, and definitely like Dylan. So you have Arnold in there, you have Stallone. I'm thinking, all right, where's Carl? You could have given him that role. You could have had him play what's the Bruce Willis's character, Church,
yeah,
CIA agent. Yeah, you could have had him play a character like that. I didn't see the fourth Expendables. I don't know if it was any good or not, but
I did see the fourth Expendables. I'll say it like this: it was very interesting. I'll just say it like that.
All right, I got you.
It was definitely interesting. I actually talked to a good friend of mine earlier today, Brian, and he actually wrote on his Facebook about like Carl Weathers passing. And I told him that I was planning to do an episode in honor of Carl Weathers. And the next comment he wrote right after that, he was like, Kim, he should have been in the Expendables. I was like,
hell
bro,
yeah.
You are not wrong. I think that he should have,
100%. I mean, we could go down the list of guys that should have been, in that series. Yeah. I enjoyed the first two. The third one, I kind of felt like with the third one, it was like out with the old, in with the new.
That's right.
That's kind of how I felt about it. So, and it also had a PG-13 rating, so it wasn't, but the thing about it, as a guy who grew up in the 80s loving action, movies, when you go in to see the Expendables, you're not expecting the greatest story, but you get these great action heroes, your Lundgrens, your Chuck Norrises, and you get these guys to all come together. So it's a nice little treat for us who came up in the 80s. Like in the second one, I think when you saw, was it Chuck Norris? And
Chuck Norris. Yeah.
And I think Harrison Ford took over Bruce Willis's character or whatever in the third one.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh shit, we have Harrison Ford and Wesley Snipes now in the same film. So I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. And then when I saw the younger guys, I was like, all right, cool. I don't care about them. I'm sorry, I'm old.
I understood why they bring like these younger actors and these younger guys into these action films.
Sure,
but to be honest with you, it just, to me, it would have been a little bit more if you had like more iconic actors from the 80s
Yeah,
that did that type
absolutely.
of stuff. And Carl Weathers really should have been on the top of the list. And the fact that he
He should have.
wasn't, I was kind of pissed off about that. I was like, bro, are you
Mhm.
serious right now?
I was too. I was too. I was doing my research, man. Like when they were doing the second Expendables, I was excited. I was like, all right, cool. We're gonna get Carl in there, or we're gonna get Michael Jai White in there. You know, somebody who's like, you know, you have all these guys. Man, come on, we got to get somebody in there. And then by the time the third one rolls around, I said, all right, we got Wesley. Where's Carl? Where's Carl?
Right.
And then the fourth one, I'm thinking, okay, we got Andy Garcia, who I don't ever remember being in any. I remember him in The Godfather 3, and I remember him in a couple other, you know, drama, crime type of films.
Right.
I remember him in The Untouchables in the 80s.
Yeah. That's
I remember
right.
him
Yeah.
in there, but I'm like, all right, I said, come on, where's Carl?
No, but you got 50 Cent.
We got oh, hey, there you go. We got 50 Cent, but we ain't get Carl. I'm surprised we didn't get Dave Bautista.
Oh my God.
You know, I was like, but I kind of felt Carl kind of got screwed out of that one. You know,
Somewhere hidden in the you know, in like the behind the scenes, or like, you know, or like what is it, like those scenes, like, you know, like that didn't make the cut, but they showed
the deleted scenes.
Yeah,
Deleted scenes.
in the deleted scenes, all of a sudden you might have John Cena popping out. You couldn't see him, but he was there.
And John Cena, there you go, man. But
another professional athlete / professional wrestler that made his way into acting. And okay, well,
John Cena,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Peacemaker.
Yeah, Peacemaker, yeah, the Marine, yeah.
You know, it's funny, man. I was talking to another buddy of mine about a year ago, and we were talking about Iron Man. And we said, you know, if they made the Iron Man movie about 20 years ago, they could have got Carl Weathers to play Jim Rhodes' War Machine, because he would have killed that role, you know. And I was kind of wondering, like, because, you know, The Mandalorian, it kind of revived his career a bit. I know he was in Arrested Development. He was like the cheapskate dude.
Yeah.
And he would combat Carl in Toy Story. So he was having these, you know, these memorable roles, but nothing like huge. So I'm thinking, you know, we got the MCU rolling around. Disney's throwing all this money out. Are we eventually going to get, excuse me, are we going to get Carl Weathers in the MCU, you know? And so you start kind of looking through the Marvel characters, the side characters, like who would he be able to portray? And they said, hey, we got J.K. Simmons back. Would they put Carl Weathers as Robbie Robertson? You remember the other guy who used to work at the Daily Bugle and Spider-Man? Robbie Robertson. They said he would be great, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, you know, Carl was kind of an ass-kicking dude, so whoever he was, you have to get him to play some old dude who was whooping ass. You know?
Yeah, you would have to.
Yeah.
Man.
So, I know I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing, that, you know, because I felt like Carl had so much more, man. He has so much more that he, you know.
I have to agree with that. I feel like he could have made other type of movies in different methods of acting, because I feel like, you know, you only saw one side of him, but you didn't get to see the complete side of him. And as an actor, being classically trained, you want to see an actor succeed in that particular way.
Yeah, that's why I loved him as was it Chubbs Peterson in Happy Gilmore, because that showed like his comedic side. It showed that he could be funny, because we always saw him as this intense action guy in the 80s.
That's right. Yeah.
So when you see him come in here, you know, as this dude in was it Happy Gilmore, and he said, you know, he had this hand. He said, "No, man, damn alligator bit my hand off. I hooked the ball in the rough. I went to reach in, and the alligator bit my hand off." So,
oh man!
And then when he died in the film, like, it's like, you know, the way he died in the film, it's like, you know what, Carl Weathers had a sense of humor about having like a funny death scene in there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, man.
And he actually sung that song and played that.
The piano.
And life has just begun.
Yeah, yeah, man. So, you know, I'm telling you, man. Like Carl, that dude was crazy talented. But if you get a chance to it, look up those songs that he did. The "You Ought to Be with Me" and "That's Love Calling." I'll go ahead and text them to you later on. But you'll be shocked, man. Like the dude could sing. The
Damn.
dude could sing. Yeah, he was good. I kind of wish he had his own album out. I would have bought it. Hell yeah.
I would have bought it too. Like, definitely for sure.
Yeah.
If Carl Weathers still had life in him,
Mhm.
and you would want him to be like in another movie, like what kind of genre of film would you want to see him in? Like for you to be like, okay, I never seen him did that before, but that's awesome because I know that he has that ability as an actor to, do that type of genre or to do that type of character.
Um, Honestly, I would like to see him in like a biography type of picture. Now, to play who specifically, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see him do so. The horror films, I don't need to see that.
No.
He's already done the action thing. He's done the comedy thing. Saw the Star Wars, so he's done the sci-fi thing. I think at this point, seeing him do some kind of biopic or something like that, I think that's probably what I would have liked to have seen. The drama, he's done some of the drama stuff. And I know he did one in the 90s. It was one of those B drama films where Billy D. Williams, Lando, played the villain in it. I think it was called Dangerous Passions or something. I don't remember. I saw it one time, and Billy D. Williams played like a crooked millionaire or billionaire, and he had this prized Bugatti car. And I think Carl Weathers blew it up at the end. And seeing Billy D. Williams, of all people, play a villain shouting, "My Bugatti!" And
Oh,
Carl Weathers
man.
riding off into the sunset. So it's literally like a drama, but at the end, he has his one action scene.
I have to agree with you. I would have liked him to do like some kind of like biographical movie, like a very heavy drama kind of like of a film. Like remember, okay. Do you remember Denzel Washington in Malcolm X?
Hell yeah.
I would want Carl Weathers to kind of be in that type of movie setting.
I agree. I could see that, because well, didn't Disney doing the Malcolm X MLK, some kind of biopic series is coming up? I saw previews for something like that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I would have loved to see Carl Weathers in that type of role, doing like some kind of biopic. I don't know. I mean, if he were younger, I would have loved to see him portray like Jim Brown or like if Jesse Owens, if they were to, because I remember he ran track. So if they did a Jesse Owens biopic and they shot this film hell back in the 80s, I would have loved to see Carl Weathers play Jesse Owens.
That would have been good.
I think that would have, because I heard that I don't know how long it's been in development for, but Anthony Mackie was supposed to be doing a Jesse Owens biopic. So
really, that's the first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, it was. If you look out, it's one of his projects is still in development, but it's been in development for ages. So I don't know if the film will ever get done. I hope it does, but honestly, with Carl being, an athlete, and to be able to portray an athlete, like Jesse Owens as a track star or any other football players that you can think of who once had who were great, doing something like that. Absolutely. And another thing, and you're an athlete, is a lot of the things about Carl is, and I've done this as an actor, I've always had more trouble with the acting than the athleticism. I've worked with actors. I've had to help, dancers and women who've had zero martial arts training. I've had to literally pull them aside on set, train them for about 10, 15 minutes. Right. They could get the acting part. They just couldn't do the athletic. Me being an athlete my whole life, the athletic stuff was always easy. It was just like the acting and stuff like that. That was always the tougher part. But Carl was one of those guys, he could do both.
That's right.
Both.
Right.
And convincingly. He could do it convincingly. Sometimes, if you're just an athlete, this is no knock to Lou Ferrigno or anything like that. It's just like he was the Incredible Hulk, and I loved watching the '70s Hulk. But it's like, all right, he was a bodybuilder playing a green monster. It's like, all right, So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Carl Weathers, born January 14th, 1948,
48. Yep.
in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Southern man.
And recently passed February 1st, 2024, age 76, in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, man. Died at home in his sleep, man. Yeah.
That, it's really unfortunate, man, to lose such a great actor and a movie icon, a film icon in Carl Weathers. Again, that is somebody that you can't replace a person like him. There will always be that one. Always be that one.
There'll only be one Apollo Creed. I don't care who you get to play him. There'll only be one Apollo Creed, one Action Jackson, one Al Dillon. Was it Sergeant Dillon?
It's Colonel.
Colonel
Allen
Allen Dillon. Yes. Sergeant Jericho Jackson. That's it.
Sergeant Jericho Jackson.
Sergeant Jericho Jackson. Actually, so in the movie, he got demoted to sergeant. He was a lieutenant and he got demoted because they said that he was too rough on the suspects. Bill Duke said, "You nearly tore that boy's arm off when you arrested him." He said, "So he had a spare." He had some of the best one. Now you piss me off.
Oh my God. Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, man.
Gone too soon, man. But may you
Way
rest
too
in
soon.
peace, man. All I gotta say is to the heavens above, you gained another angel in life, man. So big ups to
raising the glasses.
raising the glass, man. May you rest in peace. Salute.
Salute.
Well, I definitely will say that we have definitely had a great time, although that under some bad circumstances, but nevertheless, when you have to pay respect to somebody as great as Carl Weathers is, and if I had to do it, there would have been no other person that I would have rather done this than with you, Zach. So again, I appreciate it, brother, that you're a busy guy, but when you reached out, and you said, hell yeah, I would do it. I had to go for it, man. I had to take that opportunity because who knows when we could have, done this. It could have been like 2 weeks down the road and we wouldn't have had the same thought process as we would right now, while we're recording this episode.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, Carl Weathers was a hero of mine growing up, as a kid, still was. I mean, if we had longer, man, this conversation would be going on for another 3, 4, 5 hours, damn near all day. I could talk all day about Carl Weathers, man. I loved all his movies. I remember I went through a phase when I was younger. You remember when DVDs first came out?
Yeah.
I had like a lot of people, they have their DVDs set by genre. Sometimes I had mine set by actors, so I had my Carl Weathers collection. So I would get my Action Jacksons, by Hurricane Smiths, like where Carl was the lead guy, or if he let's say he had like a bigger part, like in Predator, I would put those movies a little closer to my Carl Weathers collection, and I would try and when I was younger, I would look for scenes of him like working out. I would search YouTube for like Carl Weathers workout because I said, man, I'm trying to get the Carl Weathers physique when I grow up. Let me find out. So let me find these damn Carl Weathers workouts. So yeah, man. Maybe at 40 plus years old, maybe one day I'll still get it. We'll see.
Look, all you have to do is look at the picture of him as Apollo Creed with the American flag, like boxing shorts, and you look at that chiseled physique, you could be like, man, Carl, I'm on it, man. I promise you, I'm not slacking, brother. I'm working on it.
That 3% body fat as I'm sipping on my beer.
Hey, we all have our vices, bro.
We got to, man.
We all have our vices. Some people like junk food, and some people like food that's not good for them. It happens, bro.
I'm sure Carl did too. I'm sure. Look, with the way that dude worked out, I'm sure he had days where he would like soul food out. He'd probably eat all the mac and cheese, all the shit that he knows ain't good for him.
Damn
But look,
right. But then
the
again,
truth is,
being that
but
how
you can.
chiseled he was, he could afford to do that.
But you can. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people don't realize when you're constantly, operating at a level that these guys are, and you're burning so many calories, and you have a demanding schedule, and you're doing that on some days, because it's definitely not an everyday thing. You have days where you could have what we call your fuck it days, where you eat whatever it is that you want.
Right.
Like, what's it? The Rock does that. Dwayne does that.
Dude, Dwayne, like, he works out damn near like all 7 days a week if he could. And like, my God, like, if you've seen the stuff that he eats on his cheat days,
the donuts and pancakes and
pancakes.
Pizza
And
all his tequila or Patron, whatever it is he's drinking.
I eat 12 boxes of pizza. I'm like, well, I wouldn't put it against you. I mean, Jesus.
I wouldn't put it past him. So yeah, man, when you're operating at that level, like, you can have those days. Like, I know Stallone would say, hey, you know what? I work hard. I still got to have my beer and my cigars. He said, I'm still a man. He said, I'm an athlete, but I'm still a man. I got to have my beer and I got to have my cigars.
Well, at least one of those things I gave up on. I'm no longer a smoker of tobacco products.
Oh, man.
So,
yeah.
Since 2013, that went into retirement.
Yeah, I didn't dabble in. I never got into the cigarettes. I had a lot of family members that did, man. I never got into that thing, but I did my fair share of my little.
I want to give you a true story.
Sure.
A true story.
Go for it.
So I'm hanging out one day with the late Jonathan Henderson.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Hendo.
Yeah, good old Hendo.
Old
Hendo. And our friend Tim Johnson, aka Timothy Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hanging out, and it's like at a social gathering, this function, and this was like at the time where like I was still smoking cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like lighting one up, and I'm like, I finally like it's a fresh one, so I'm like blowing it up, and then Hendo looks at me. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm just like, "Man, I'm smoking a cigarette." "You a martial artist and you smoke a cigarette?" I'm like, "Man, the old Korean people do that. I don't see why I can't." And he's like, "Well, you're not Korean." I'm like, "Well, no kidding." So I'm like, I have the cigarette in my mouth, still lit and everything, right? And next thing you know, John's like, okay. He takes 2 steps the opposite direction, and then he breaks it with a spinning hook kick.
Wow. So he made you quit smoking.
Well, he was just, it just showed that how disturbed.
Catalyst, yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, whatever. So like I break out another one, like a fresh one, and he's like looking up into the sky. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see Tim coming up, and he breaks it with a spinning hook kick. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like, I knew lightning struck twice, but I didn't think it was going to be in pairs of my friends that are martial artists with the same technique.
It definitely makes a difference. I sparred a guy years ago who was a heavy smoker, and he was fast as hell, lightning fast. Guy's name was Isaac. Can't remember his last name. He was lightning fast, Taekwondo guy, and he was lightening me up with kicks for about 7 to 10 seconds at most, because that's all he had. He was a heavy smoker, and he told me at the end of the match, he said, "Okay, I lost because I gave you everything I got for 10 seconds. That's all I had, because I had no wind, man." He said, "I got to stop." He said, "I got to stop smoking." And he was fast as hell. I have absolutely no need to bullshit. He was fast as hell, but he just didn't have no gas in him, man.
Damn.
He didn't have no gas in him. He said them cigarettes just kicked his ass. So I haven't seen him in 20, 25 years, something like that. It's been a minute since I've seen him.
Yeah.
But I remember he started smoking early, and he said it was just jacking up his lungs. So yeah, man.
Well, let's end it on a good note. If there was anything that you wanted to send away, like a good send off, to the late great actor Carl Weathers, what would be your send off? What would your eulogy, quote unquote, be?
I will keep it short and simple, and I will quote Sylvester Stallone. 2 things. I will say, 1, you are the best, and keep punching, Apollo.
Damn.
That's it. Yep. I remember when at his funeral, remember he laid the belt there on the flower, said, "You're the best."
Yeah.
He said, "Keep punching, just keep punching, Apollo." And I remember when end of Rocky 3, he said, "You know what, Stallion? It's a shame we got to get old, man." And I can relate. Shit, I can relate.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just keep punching, and he was the best, man. He was.
I would just say, to Carl Weathers, thank you for the memories, for all the hard work that you put in the acting industry, in the film industry, proving that you can come from a different background and still make a great impact on the film world and the filming community and the acting community. I mean, you were a professional athlete before you came into it, and you had a hell of a career. And to those that don't respect what he did, shame on you, because this man deserved a lot of respect for what he did. A class act, a great actor. Damn shame that we wouldn't see much more of what he could have been, but a hell of a life that he lived. And much love and respect to the late Carl Weathers. We love you, man. So thank you for all the contributions, and may God rest your soul. And hopefully we will see you one day where when we get up there, you could be like, "Oh yeah, I was making all these films up in heaven. You should see it. It's already ready for you to watch." So I'll be like, "Okay."
I'm gonna hunt him down. I'm gonna say, "Man, I want to hear some Carl Weathers stories, man." And I'll say, "Hey, Carl, okay, Carl, what was your workout? Because now I need you to come with me. We need to do some push-ups. I'm ready to work out, Carl." If I say, "You know what, day I check out and I go to heaven," I say, "All right, I'm gonna find all my loved ones." And I say, "All right, you know what? I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna find Carl Weathers because that's the physique I always wanted. All right, where can I find Carl up here? Somebody give me Carl Weathers' number, address, whatever it is I can find in this cloudy city, Allegiant Fields, whatever it is, wherever it is." I say, "Let me find Carl."
Nice. Well, on that, folks, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to end it here on this good note. Always a great time when we're here at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and with great company, and just sharing love and respect and positive energy, because that's what we love to do. I mean, life is too short to be filled with negativity and piss and vinegar. And if that's the type of program that you're on, you might want to change your diet. You know what I mean? Because that's just not the way to go. Let's go ahead and try to end this. You can find me on Facebook. Just search me under the search box, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I'll be there. I am on social media as in the Instagram world and Twitter, now known as X, at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. Find me on the following podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we are on Amazon Music. And soon to be, if we're playing our cards right, we may actually strike a deal with YouTube Music. So we're in negotiations on how to figure that out. So we'll let you know. Please like and subscribe to my podcast on all of those podcasting platforms. And if you have Spotify, please give me a 5-star rating. If you have Apple Podcast, please also give me a 5-star rating and a positive written review, because the more times that you do that for each of those podcasting platforms, it gets thrown right to the front of the lines. And then maybe somebody could be like, and I'm going to use a random name, a name that we both know, Coach V of Kaizen Karate might be like, "Oh shoot, that's that podcast that Coach Zach was talking to me about, that he had been a guest on a couple of times." Yes, please like it, subscribe to it, love it, and do it old school. Tell your friends, put it on social media. I mean, we got the Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter, now known as X. We do have Snapchat. We do have TikTok. Put all that shit on there, and just let it be known, tell your friends. And last but not least, if you want to actually be a special guest or a special guest host, like, my friend right over here, Zach is, if you have any questions for our Q&A forum, or if you have any constructive criticism, please email me at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Subject, whatever the subject is, and then on the email, write out whatever it is that you need to write out, whatever, if it's a suggestion or a grievance or a question, or, I want to be a guest. I got you. As long as you write that email and I get it, I'll read it and I'll get back to you within a day or two, because I like to do that. Anyways, guys, it has been a great time. Again, it's messed up that we have to do it under bad circumstances, but the way that I see it is that if I'm doing it in a, respectful way, in a correct way, and if I'm having, great, guests or guest hosts to, come along for the ride, it's just a great time. And I cannot thank everybody enough for just loving my content, supporting it. If you want me to keep doing it, I definitely will, because I do it for you guys, not just myself, but you guys are the motivation. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love and support. Season 3, man, I didn't even think that I would have gotten past season 1, but we're on season 3 now this year. So we're doing good things. More things are coming. Can't wait. We'll have more guests. We'll have more subject matters. I'll even have subject matters that will require a guest co-host like, Zach here to, go ahead and talk about. So much is on the horizon. We still got a long ways to go. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I love you guys. Please be safe out there, because it doesn't do me any good if you do something foolish and land yourself in a pine box and get buried 6 feet under. We don't want you to do that. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to live life. And why? Because you deserve it. And if you don't, then you're a fool not to think that you don't deserve it. So for the one time coming in from the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area in the Asian Sensation Studios, for my, guest co-host with the most, Mr. Zach Knox, who is, again, a man among men. And, for the right price, he could come in and cosplay as, Lando Calrissian,
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'll do anything. That's right. If the ladies are here, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'll be right there talking that smooth Lando.
For the one time, this is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation. God bless you all. We'll catch you on the next one, guys. It's been real. Peace.